Hello, Division 4. All right. So as we finish off this last socials unit on the British, as we did with the Aboriginal today and the French today, well, here's the British presence today. Canada is much less British today than it was 50, 100 years ago. So there is less British today, and we know that because we have people coming from a lot of different cultures. Not just from not just from France and Britain, but rather from all over the world. Newcomers from around the world have arrived, transforms Canadian society into a mix of many cultures, and that's why it makes Canada even a better place. That we already knew was awesome. We get to share all these different cultures, and we get to learn, and we get to be such a worldly place. Still, the British heritage is evident in many ways. For example, our type of government, and we once again talked about that in quite depth. That our democratic society is based on what they did in those countries. Of course, we don't have the monarchy, but we do still keep the Queen in our system. Our systems of parliament and elections are modeled by the British systems. Just the word, even our architecture of the parliaments look very similar to those in Britain. If you've ever been to Victoria, or even seen pictures of the Parliament buildings, especially the ones in Ottawa as well. So is our system of courts and law. So how we do laws are a lot more similar to the Britain way than the American way. Even how they do their elections and how they handle crime and their court system. The fact that the English is one of the official languages of Canada is another example. So we know that French is one of our languages, but of course English is the other. Ben can ask, what's the word? That's right, bilingual. 3 Canadians out of every 5 learn English before any other language. I don't know if that's still true, but at this time it was. And of course, we speak English at school, and most places where we live in the Lower Mainland we mostly speak English. Of course, though, other cultures and languages have definitely increased, and that's what makes us, like I said, such a great place to live. Can you think of other examples of British heritage in your community? So if you're looking around, what else has been affected by the Brits or the British? The Stratford Festival takes place every year from May to October in Stratford, Ontario. The Theatre Festival, which began in 1953, is another example of Canada's British heritage. And you'll see, like, even as an aside here, when you think of the courts and you see the judges and stuff wearing the big black robes, and you see the judges wearing the white wigs, well, that's all a British influence. The festival puts on plays mostly by the English playwright William Shakespeare. There's a big name. Once you get to high school, you'll know that name very well. It is modeled on a similar drama festival in Stratford upon Avon, Shakespeare's birthplace in England. So you can see there's an example of culture, English culture, and see what they're wearing. You can see by their clothing and things like that. But you can see there's a lot of culture, a lot of things that we are influenced by the British. But like I said, this is a little bit out of date, some of the text here, but for the most part, though, as we've come to the end of this, you can see like each and every founding peoples had a huge influence on Canada, and it's really important that we learn about that, because then we can acknowledge it and then therefore learn from it. And moving forward, you can almost say that the other cultures have really formed Canada too. And I would be interested to see if there would be text on the different cultures and how Canada has changed and is continuing to change. And I think it's really important that we learn about that. So what we're going to finish off, you'll be doing some questions with this, as well as a follow-up unit of all 3. And I'm thinking of making it into some kind of a quiz-like format to see if what we know. All right, until next time.